If you study history long enough, you notice something most people overlook. The most effective survival tactics rarely come from elite units or dramatic battles, but from ordinary people trying to protect their homes with whatever they had. That's why today's topic is so valuable. Before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed to the Prepper Historian, because I promise you, the deeper we go into these forgotten World War II methods, the more you'll realize that the best tools for modern preparedness were forged decades ago. And if you stay with me for the next minute, you're going to walk away with practical, usable strategies that were once common knowledge during wartime, but barely discussed today. During World War II, especially in Europe and parts of Asia, millions of civilians lived with the daily risk of raids, shortages, forced evacuations, and neighborhood-level sabotage. They didn't have high-tech gear, fancy alarms, or stocked prepper stores. They had basic materials, wartime ration limits, and an urgent need to stay one step ahead of danger. Yet somehow entire communities survived because they understood what most people today absolutely miss. Home defense isn't always about weapons, it's about psychology, preparation, misdirection, and resilience. So let's break down some of the most overlooked methods that still work brilliantly in a modern crisis. One of the most effective World War II home defense practices was tactical delay. Civilians weren't trying to defeat an invading force. They were trying to slow them down long enough to escape, hide valuables, or regroup with neighbors. In rural Poland and the Balkans, homeowners would subtly reinforce door frames from the inside with angled beams or extra planks. The key was making them look ordinary from the outside. In practice today, this becomes a simple upgrade, adding hidden reinforcement to your doors so that a forced entry attempt takes minutes instead of seconds. It's a principle, not a relic. If a door normally breaks in 10 seconds, extend that to 60, and you've given yourself a massive tactical advantage. Another forgotten tactic was using bottlenecks inside the home. Narrow hallways, furniture positioned to funnel movement, and small delays like carpets over uneven floors all made an intruder slow down. This wasn't clumsy, it was deliberate. Today, a modern application is choosing one section of your home as the defendable core, the area your family automatically moves toward in an emergency, and placing natural obstacles leading toward it. You're not building a fortress. You're shaping movement so you control the pace of a threat. Civilians in the Second World War didn't have the luxury of loud, aggressive defences. They had to stay unnoticed. In France and Italy, families routinely created what we now call silent safe spots. Tiny spaces inside walls, behind cellars, or under floorboards, where occupants could hide for hours during searches. The point wasn't Hollywood drama. It was survival by invisibility. So, in a modern home, you can actually apply the same kind of thinking without even needing to build a false wall. A quiet, secure interior room with no street-facing windows, a heavy door, and just some simple soundproofing, like, say, dense curtains or foam panels, gives you a safe fallback position during unrest, break-ins, or even natural disasters. If you add a small box of essentials, water, a power bank, a flashlight, a radio, and a basic first aid kit, well, you've basically replicated a tactic that kept thousands alive. Because soldiers and raiders often conducted fast searches, World War II civilians learned to use decoy storage. A fake valuables drawer with, costume jewellery or old coins often satisfied searchers in under 30 seconds, while the real valuables were stored in plain-looking containers mixed in with food, firewood, or just ordinary tools. So, this approach actually works today, because, well, opportunistic criminals still want speed above all else. A decoy wallet tucked away in a drawer, maybe a junk box filled with outdated electronics, or even a fake safe that's easy to grab. These can all help protect your real documents, your cash, or even your digital backups. The original World War II principle still applies. Intruders don't want to spend time thinking. They just take what they see first, plain and simple. Civilians during air raids or ground patrol sweeps often needed early warning more than anything else. With no electricity or functioning infrastructure, they built passive noise traps. Simple setups, like hanging glass bottles behind doors, placing loose gravel near entry points, or stringing metal lids along garden paths, created instant alerts and, well, sometimes that was all the warning you could get. Applying this today doesn't require turning your home into a scrapyard. A few subtle updates do the job. Gravel in key exterior areas, a metal wind chime placed indoors behind an entry point, or even lightweight aluminum cans tied behind a gate give you low-tech, low-cost detection that doesn't rely on batteries or Wi-Fi. These methods worked because they were predictable. Unlike modern electronic systems, they don't glitch or lose connection. One of the biggest misconceptions about World War II home defence is the idea that civilians acted alone. They didn't. Neighbourhoods often developed quiet, unofficial watch systems. One family watching the road, another tracking movement from the woods, someone else signalling alerts with lights or knocks. It wasn't paranoia. It was coordination. In modern prepping, this principle still matters. A dependable neighbour who texts you when something suspicious happens is more valuable than any alarm system. Building an informal, trust-based communication chain, even among just 2 or 3 households, creates resilience that no single person can replicate. The WWII mindset was simple. Survival wasn't solitary. During the war, scarcity forced creativity. People used heavy blankets to muffle light, basins of water to stop sparks during bombings, and simple hand tools as both repair items and improvised defensive tools. The lesson here is timeless. You don't need fancy gear. You need multi-purpose gear. If you want a modern example, well, a thick wool blanket today can black out a window during a blackout or add insulation during cold season outages. A garden spade works as both a tool and, an improvised defensive implement, just like it did 80 years ago. And a single metal bucket can carry water store supplies or even serve as part of a low-tech fire control setup during emergencies. WWII families weren't minimalists. They were multipliers. Everything had more than one job, really. Nothing was wasted, and every item pulled double duty if it could. The real power of WWII home defence wasn't barbed wire or barricades. It was quiet intelligence, ordinary people using ordinary materials in extraordinary ways. And those lessons still matter, because honestly, crises haven't changed as much as we sometimes like to pretend. Strength, preparation, concealment, community, and improvisation worked then because, at the end of the day, human behaviour is consistent across generations. If you found value in these forgotten tactics and want more deep dives like this, make sure you subscribe to The Prepper Historian and share this video with anyone who takes preparedness seriously. The past still has a lot to teach us, and together we'll keep uncovering it.